What's up, YouTube? Today I'm going to show you how to make a diverter for a rain barrel. If you have a rain barrel, I have a 1,000-gallon rain barrel at my West Virginia house, and since I've got about 150 apple trees and peach trees, I need to I need to use rainwater instead of tap water. I've also got about 70 blueberry bushes at the moment, and I'm planning on expanding to about 200 by the end of the year. So having rainwater is a huge benefit. Not only because it's free, but the tap water's got a lot of junk in it that plants don't really like too much, and so fluoride, chlorine, things like that. And the rainwater is it's got a lot of nitrogen, and so plants really like the nitrogen a lot. It's very good for a plant's roots, and it's also very good for their foliage. So so what I did was I needed a diverter, and I made it out of a few things that you can pick up very easily. A few of the things you probably have laying around the house. One of them is a small bucket. This is probably, I think it's about a half a gallon. Might be a little bit more than a half a gallon size bucket. And it can be, it can be used for anything. Just wash it out real well. The other thing that you'll need is, what I use is this is a waterproof or a water sealed conduit connector. You can buy them at any hardware store or mom and pop hardware store, of course the big box places. This one right here is 3/4 of an inch. I've got a few in my shed that are I believe they're 1 inch, and I'd like to use those, but when you start doing this, you have to buy a hose that fits onto these things. So sometimes that hose can be quite expensive by the foot, and so for me, the 3/4 size is a pretty good size for me. So you'll need one of these, and then this right here, it's a synthetic connector, or excuse me, I apologize. It's nylon. Now this is a connector for hoses, and you can get it. It doesn't have to be white like this. This one just happens to be white, but you can find these in the sprinkler section of the big box stores, and they've got a whole bunch of them there. It's they're plentiful and they're very inexpensive. I do like the nylon because it's durable, and the plastic. If you live in a place where the winters are tough, they could crack pretty easily. But the nylon's pretty durable, so I prefer to have these. Now, one other thing is, need some epoxy glue. Good stuff. And the reason you need this is because you'll have to glue the adapter or the nylon connector to the bucket. And then what I use is these guys here. Some people call them spade bits. I call them speed bits. Same thing. It's just what you learned when I was a kid. In shop class, that's what we call them, speed bits, and so I still call them speed bits. But anyway, one is 7/8 of an inch, and this one right here is 1 1/8 inches. And these are going to be for the holes that you drill. One for the nylon connector, and the other one for the watertight conduit fitting. So I'm going to go ahead and get my drill squared away. You'll need a drill so you can drill the holes, of course. Let me get that taken care of, and I'll show you how, or I'll show you where I'm going to place the holes for this. And I know I can't do it right here in my basement in my little shop area here, but when I get back out to West Virginia tomorrow, I'll I'll be able to show you exactly how this diverter is going to adapt to my downspout and then connect with my 1,000-gallon rain barrel. It's very easy. You're looking at right now probably that thing's $2. You can get them cheaper. Epoxy, a couple of dollars. This guy right here, I think was about $3 maybe 4, something like that. You know, so you're looking at somewhere around $10 for this thing. If you wanted to, if you're one of those people that has to buy stuff all the time, you know, you can spend $20, $30, $40, $50 on a rainwater diverter, and they're fancy. I got to tell you, I mean, they're fancy dancy, but you know, for $10 you can make your own, and you know, if anything ever fails, you've got the parts right there in your shed. So, you know, to me, it's kind of a no-brainer. Otherwise, you know, you're calling Amazon, you're going to pay $50 and have another one shipped to your house, and $10, $50. I like the $10 side myself. Anyway, let me get my screw gun configured here, and I'll show you where, why, and how to drill the holes for proper location. Okay, so the first part of this is we need to drill a couple holes. But before we do that, you need to take the adapter here, and you need to cut it in half. And so, like I said, I like to repurpose things. This is the one that I used for the last 10 years. It's the same adapter. It's just cut in half. So, and you can see, if I put them like this, you can see where I made the cut. So, you know, you want to have, gee whiz, if I can do it, you want to have, you want to cut it, you know, right behind that furrow right there. And so just take a bandsaw, you know, whatever you got, put this thing in a vise, take a hacksaw, whatever, just cut it down. Doesn't have to be perfect. This end right here will be inside the bucket. It's going to be, you know, if the bucket's my hand, it's going to be sticking out like this, if that makes sense here on the video. I don't know. And the water will be exiting this way. But at any rate, you just have to cut it and make it look like this. That's the point. So you have to do that first. And then we only have 2 holes to cut. One for overflow and one for exit. And when I'm able to connect this to the downspout, you'll see exactly how it works. So while I'm doing this, you just kind of got to trust me on what I'm doing. I've done this for, I guess, about 15 years, and it works really well. So certainly not an expert on this, but I know it works, and I know how to get it done. So let's go ahead and cut the first hole, and we're going to be looking at the bottom of the bucket, and there it is. So the thing is that you need to really kind of envision this inverted, well, just inverted here, with the gutter coming down into the bucket. And so what's going to happen is, on this hole right here in the bottom of the bucket, this is where you're going to use the watertight fitting. And what's going to be attached to this, and this is going to be kind of an overflow safety for the rain diverter. This is a piece of pipe that I've used for a couple years. You can tell it's got a whole bunch of dirt and stuff in it, and you can also see that it's got holes that I've drilled in it. So in real life, this thing will be sitting inside the bucket like this. Now the let's see if I can hold it here. The exit where the water will come out to the rain barrel, for example, will be down here, okay, and it'll be exiting this way. Well, the thing is that if something gets stuck in front of the exit valve, then the bucket's going to fill up, right? So if the exit valve gets blocked, then the bucket's going to fill up and shortly, trust me, because there's a lot of rain that comes off your roof, it's going to overflow. So it self-defeats itself. Well, if you have holes, drilled through your through this piece of pipe, which also holds it in place inside the gutter, right? Because this is the gutter will be fitted over top of this. As the water rises, the blockages over here. As the water rises, it's going to come up to these holes, and it's going to strain. It's going to start to drain down through the remaining part of the gutter, and so it's kind of a backup plan just in case. So the thing is that you don't want the water draining right next to the foundation of your house, right? Pretty common knowledge here, right? So that's kind of the whole goal. So as the water rises, it's going to begin to drain out of this hole, and I've got them drilled around. So then when it comes out more, it'll drain over this hole, and then it'll start to climb, and there's more holes as we go up. So as it climbs up higher, there's more and more holes. So the goal overall is, if that happens, not to exceed the height of the bucket. I hope this is making sense. It kind of may not, because I'm in my basement. When I get out to my West Virginia house tomorrow, and I make the rest of the video and show you how it's going to work with the gutter system, then I think it'll make a lot more sense. Until then, you just got to trust me on this, okay? We're talking $10 here, so it's a pretty good risk. I just got to tell you that. So back to the business of the bucket. Now, you don't want to drill your hole right in the center of the bucket. You need a little bit of offset. So you want to kind of drill it maybe, close to half the distance from the center of the bucket to the outside of the bucket. So somewhere right in here is going to be okay. And this is really going to help your bucket stay in place, and it's going to give you room from the side of the house between the gutter and the back of the house. So this is easy stuff. You got a screw gun, got a 7/8 inch bit. Not rocket science here, you guys. Just speaking from experience. Just maybe somewhere in that area right there. I think that looks pretty good. I think that's going to work just fine. And after you drill the first hole, you're going to put the watertight fitting in there, and that's what it looks like inside the bucket. And then on the bottom side, there's going to be this side of the watertight fitting. So if any drainage has to happen, it's just going to flow right through this hole, right down the drain. So it's very easy. And then of course, you're going to have to take some vice grips or something like that, get down in there and tighten it up. But the assembly looks like this inside the bucket. And so when, or if, hopefully not, there's a blockage, the water is going to drain down those holes. Now you can see that I've already drilled the hole here for the front, and sometimes those holes aren't perfect, and so you may have to, what I say what I say is waller them out a little bit. So you might have to take a knife here and kind of go around it and just kind of open it up a little bit. But if me and you were talking, I'd say I wallered it out a little bit, made everything fit just fine. And the reason why you might have to do that is because this fitting here, you can see it's got ridges on it, and sometimes they may catch on the side or something like that. So it's just a little bit, depending on what size of a nylon connector that you buy or plastic connector. It just depends. You may or may not have to do it. I have to, so not a big deal. So the next step is this connector here needs to be glued in place, and that's where the epoxy is going to come in. And it's going to go from the inside out. Okay? That's what it's going to look like when it's in place. So when you do your epoxy, you're going to put the epoxy on the inside. Common sense. If I know how to do it, I promise you, everybody should know how to do it. I'm definitely not a rocket scientist. So I'm going to go ahead and mix up some of this epoxy right fast. And the epoxy that I got is, it's 2 hours. And you can buy 5 minute, 3 minute, you know, whatever you want to buy. But I always seem to let things cure for a little while. I just, something in my mind says it's probably stronger. So let me go ahead and mix this up. I'm going to put it in place, and once I get it in place, I'll show you what it looks like. So I've got it all glued in there, and that's how it looks. Now, I glued it from the inside, and I also just put some of the extra epoxy around the outside, right around the seam. Now, in my videos, I always say it doesn't have to be beautiful. It doesn't have to be beautiful. It just needs to work. So, it's a rainwater diverter. It's not a painting on the wall. But, just my opinion there. I'll show you the inside here. And, you can see, there it is, I believe. See it pretty good. And so I'm just going to let this set up for a couple hours overnight, and should be good to go. And then when I get to West Virginia, I'll put in the other stretch of hose. It's probably, I guess it's about 5 foot, something like that, 5 feet. And that goes from the outlet to the tank. And it connects there, and it's the same hose as this. So this hose, just to give you an idea, now this right here is probably close to 10 years old, so I don't know if it's shrunk or, you know, anything like that, but outside diameter looks like about 1 1/8 inches, and the inside diameter is about 1 inch on the inside diameter. And I'm going to tell you, at the big box stores, you know, Big Orange and Big Blue, this hose right here, it's right expensive. It's a couple of dollars a linear foot. So if you're like me and you have to have it, then you got to buy it. It is what it is. Just go ahead and buy it. Bite the bullet. It's going to last a long time. Don't worry about that. This hose right here and the other section that I've got, you know, 5 or 6 feet long. Like I say, I've had this for about 6 years. And with all the water that I've gotten, it's a no-brainer. The side of my house that the diverter is connected to, the roof is probably around 650 square feet or so, something like that, maybe a little bit more. And if I get 1 inch of rain, then I get somewhere around 600 gallons of water for free. So 2 inches of rain easily actually overfills my rain barrel. So yeah, these things are really worth it. You can buy a tank anywhere. You can get them at Tractor Supply. You can get them at Southern States. You can go online. You can have them delivered. You know, the bigger you get, the more cost effective they are. Mine's 1,000 gallons, and I got mine from a place called tankdepot.com. I don't have a dog in the race here. They didn't tell me to say that. I don't even know who they are. All I know is I got a good tank and a good deal on it. They delivered it straight to my house. So, you know, for me, it makes sense. And if you've got a garden, or you know, you just got flower beds or something like that, and you want to collect rain in a trash can or whatever the size of the container is, you can do this and you can make it, you know, out of these easy things that you've got around the house. And the old one that I have is right here. This is just an old sheetrock mud bucket. That's all it is, and I picked it up somewhere and used it. And you know, after 7 or 8 or 9 years, it cracked on me, and I just needed to get a new one. It's no big deal. Free's good. I got a lot of mileage out of this guy right here, so I got no complaints at all. If this is all the maintenance I got to do, no brainer. Anyway, I won't ramble any more about this here at the house. Tomorrow I'll be in West Virginia, and I'll be at the house, and I'll show you the water tank, and I'll have this thing put back together, and I'll show you how it works. I don't believe it's going to rain, but if it is, I'll definitely take some video of it and show you how it works, and tell you a few other things that I did with my rain barrel. So anyway, thanks for watching this far. Hope you watch the rest of it. It's not going to be much better. I'll see you tomorrow. Okay, here's my rain barrel. It's 1,000 gallons. It drains right off the top of my roof there. And at the bottom is the valve to get the water out, and at the top, up here, is an overflow. So when the water gets up to that level, it'll just overflow right out. And down here is the valve, and it's a 1-inch ball valve. Ball valves are the best, you guys. If you're gonna buy one, pay the 25 bucks and get it. Do it the right way. Yeah, buy the valve once. Don't buy it 3 times. Just good practice. All right, this is the edge of my house, and this is the piece of downspout that I had to cut out to afford space for the rainwater diverter. Now, I've got the diverter down here. I'll have to put it in, but I don't. It might be difficult to set the camera up, but I think I can probably do it with my tripod. So I'm going to set the camera up, and then I'll show you exactly how I'm going to connect this thing to another synthetic adapter right there that I've got. It's the same size as the one that I used while I was making the diverter with the bucket. So you need 2 of them. One gets cut in half, one stays full size. I've got the diverter here, and I'm ready to go. I've got the valve in the front of the diverter is all set up with the epoxy. The overflow is all set up and tightened down, and all I've got to do now is show you how to put it in there. Now, just a reminder, see, there's the overflow. The gutter is going to go right over top of this. So when you put it in, this part right here has to be inside the gutter. That's what's going to allow water from the inside, if it builds up, water from the inside to drain down this overflow type of valve, if you will. Okay, so what I did was I just double checked that the valve here on the bottom was tight. The less times I can get up here in the summertime, the better I feel. It's not high or hard or anything like that, it's just kind of a pain in the neck. But anyway, so this is a very easy insertion process. Once again, the gutter is going to go over top of this. And I also made one thing before I get ahead of myself here. I made a screen that'll go over top of the valve here. And the reason I did this is because a couple years ago I had a bat that got stuck in here. How it did it, I don't know. But there was a bat stuck in here, and my dad happened to come down and heard something crazy going on back here, and it somehow the bat got in there and couldn't figure out how to get out. So this right here is just going to go like this, and anything that is big won't be able to get in there. So I don't want dead bats around my house. You probably don't either. But anyway, this is how you do it. It's very simple. Just going to double check that I got the hose in there. And I know I did. Maybe I did not. And that's about all there is to it. And then you've got your drain hose that comes off of there. Turn this the way it needs to be turned. Connect your drain hose to there, and then put it on the piece under the tank, and that's it. Now, one thing is that, hope I don't drop you. One thing is, it's been raining for a while, and it's not raining today, and it's not sunny yet, but it's going to be sunny for the next few days, so I really don't have a way to test it, but I've had this thing for 10 years or so, and I know it works. I've done this for 10 years. But if you wanted to test it, take your hose and spray it up there on the roof, let it run down. Got clear pipe like this, you'll see the water going through, and you'll hear it hitting the bottom of the tank, so it's pretty easy. I don't know. There's no reason to spend a whole bunch of money when you can build it for 10 bucks. I mean, that's pretty simple. So anyway, 1 inch of water on a 600 square foot surface will give you about 600 or 800 gallons of water. It's free. Plants love it. High in nitrogen. It's good stuff. Can't drink it, but you can use it for a lot of things. So just keep that in mind. Thanks for watching my video. I know I'm not the best at making videos, but I make them because it's good for me to document, number one. I like to document, and number two, you know, hopefully I can help somebody out down the road somewhere, and you know, you get ideas from other people, you get ideas from doing things, you figure out what works, what doesn't work, and it's important. So these videos are really important that everybody on YouTube makes, and so at any rate, thanks for watching. If you don't mind, subscribe. That'd be great. Like I said on the last video, I got 113 subscribers. Maybe I'll have 114 after this, but man, there's a lot of traffic out here today. I tell you what, it's crazy. So thanks again. See you guys later, and I'll provide some updates on things soon. Have a great day. Okay, and that's what it looks like in place, and this connects to the valve that's on top. But so what's going to happen is it's going to rain, water's going to come down the gutter. Instead of going straight down the gutter, it's going to drop into the bucket. It's going to flow straight down the pipe, and if there's any overflow or an obstruction, it's going to go right down the gutter into the downspout and out the drain. So that's the way it works.